Please turn off your notifications when you watch. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the first annual Movement, Music, and BrainHealth AccelNet annual meeting, and funded by National Science Foundation. It's my pleasure to welcome our guests from eBrains, the Swiss Center for Affective Science at the University of Geneva, the Neuro Life Project at University College London, University of California, San Francisco, the Center for Accelerated Real-Time Analytics, or CARTA, and of course, the Brain Center to this conference. We are very excited about starting the conference with art and music and neuroscience. And we have prepared for you 4 performances, 2 dance and 2 music-based. And after each performance, we're going to have a Q&A, so that I'm sure you're going to have questions. And also we can hear from the artists themselves, you know, what was behind their choreography or their music. The dancers and the musicians are going to be wearing equipment that records the brain activity, the head motion, and also all of this is synchronized with video. And in some of the performances, we're going to have 2 artists being recorded simultaneously, so through hyperscanning by hardware. If you're interested in the details. These performances, they just had there's rehearsal today. They came yesterday to set up equipment, so we didn't really have time to practice as we normally would do, but they're very excited, and I am excited, and I'd like you to bring your questions. Before we start, I'd like to invite our artist in residence, Rodrigo Cid, to tell us a little bit about how he is using the brain activity that we are recording in real time, passing that brain activity through some adaptive noise cancelers to identify and remove artifacts, and then using AI and other techniques to visualize and support the aesthetics of these performances. Rodrigo?
Hi, I'm Rodrigo. Well, I'm a multimedia artist. I have been doing this like the last 7, 8, something like that years. Today you're gonna see some visuals that I'm doing for Carmen, No More Carmens, and for Sana Sana Mariachi performance. What you're looking tonight is gonna be some techniques of generative art. Generative art is a kind of art that use normally kind of noises. It's like kind of Perlin noise or simplex noise or some kind of noises that give like some randomness. But tonight you're gonna see, instead of these kind of noises, we're gonna use the brain activity to affect the visuals that you're gonna watch tonight. So, but we can call it that is like a generative art technique. Normally I do that, and also like interactive installations. I have been doing this. I have the opportunity to study a master in Berlin, in Germany, and then I returned to Mexico, like, I don't know, like in 2018 something, and I have been based in Mexico, but sometimes I have the opportunity to travel. The last time we have the opportunity to present an interactive installation in the Rockefeller building in the basement. It was really interesting to try to recreate a natural environment of New York from the 19th century, something like that, and with some like leaves, but has to be interactive. So normally I do that, but tonight we're doing these 2 performances. The first one is No More Carmens. No More Carmens, we're using the brain activity of the synchronicity between first the left and the right hemispheres. I'm not an expert of this. Here are the experts. But I'm trying to learn the faster as I can about this. It's really interesting, data visualization, I love it, but tonight it was like really a decision to see like I have to be more conceptual or abstract or more like figurative So you're gonna see a little bit of both, but a little bit more like abstract. But at the end, if you see that if the particles going to the left, it's because the left hemisphere is like being more synchronized, and the right, the other side, and and also the colors. The colors is important because you're gonna watch the colors of the particles and the lights on the walls. When it's like warm, is left synchronicity. It's more synchronicity, yeah, when it's warm. And when it's cold, it gets less synchronicity. And then in Sana Sana is different because we're gonna have two musicians that they have like these sensors to read the brain activity, and then it depends the synchronicity that they have between them. How it's gonna be affected some like geometric shapes that you're gonna see, and the textures that these geometric elements that you're gonna see, the more life that you see on them is because there's like more activity on synchronicity between them, the violin and the guitar. So I think that's it. So yeah, thank you, and I hope you like it. Yeah.
Thank you. So we're going to have a Q&A after each performance and explanation by the artist, so enjoy.
No More Carmens. This choreographic work advocates for the treatment of women in the performing arts, reflecting on the famous opera Carmen by Georges Bizet, based on the novel by Prosper Mérimée, inspired on the 19th century legend of Carmen. Carmen narrates the story of the love triangle between Carmen, a strong Andalusian free independent gitana, Don José, a candid soldier enamored by Carmen, and Escamillo, a bullfighter with whom Carmen flirts, leading Don José to kill her. The habanera, one of the most popular arias from Carmen, is considered an appropriation of the song by Sebastián Iradier, who had written an habanera called El Arreglito 12 years prior to Bizet. This is Bizet's habanera. And this is Iradier's Arreglito. But Carmen also depicts intimate partner violence, from which 1 in every 5 women die from. jumble, and the raindrops tumble all around. Heaven opens a magic lane. When all the clouds darken up the skyway, there's a rainbow highway to be found, leading from your window pane to a place behind the sun, just step beyond the rain.
43 casos en lo que va del año. Mira que falto yo, a mí no me han contado. ¿Quién lo iba a decir? Mi compañero, al que yo quería, me haya todas hablemos.
Ni una más, ni una más, ni una más, ni una más. Una, dos, tres, cuatro. Una, dos, tres, cuatro.
¿Me puede decir el concepto de tu experiencia? Can you tell us about your experience?
Of course. Thank you, Dr. Contreras. Good evening, everybody. So this piece is called More Carmens, Ni una Carmen más. This piece was commissioned by a couple of women's rights advocates in New York City in 2019 while I was working at Ballet Hispanico, an administrative and dance critic, and working on my screenplay film. And they said, Gabriela, we're doing this National Day of Action to raise awareness of survivors of domestic violence. Would you like to help? And I said, sure. Can you help with the tickets, or what would you need? I was like, well, aren't you a choreographer? And I was like, yeah. So one of my students from Mexico was studying in New York City, who the last semester was teaching at the University of Sonora, had asked me to choreograph something on her. And we met on Broadway, and I said, Ivanka, would you like us to get that done now? He said, sure. So I decided to create a piece on a solo, but then I thought, oh, how am I going to create a piece on intimate partner domestic violence with a solo, right? Kind of need two people. So I thought maybe using the opera Carmen, the character of Carmen, who, like I said in the introduction, just in case anybody needed to know, she was murdered by Don Jose, the righteous soldier from northern Spain who represents purity and righteousness, because she was flirting with a bullfighter, which represents sexiness and whatnot. And the thing that I reflected on is that a lot of times people come out of the opera like dun, 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 dun. But a lot of people take for granted that this is a case of intimate partner domestic violence. So I created the solo on her, I commissioned the music, and we started working on that pretty much like May, June. July, I went to Granada to present on the three-cornered hat centennial on my research. And people were like, oh, look at the newspaper. We are in the newspaper. I was like, oh my God, we're in the newspaper. And I went to the hotel and opened the newspaper. And as I opened, the paper showed the 5 worst cases of domestic violence. So if you know, Spain was ruled by Franco, dictator, and women lost their rights. So women could not divorce, even facing death. So one of the worst cases was this woman, when Franco finally died. She got a divorce, moved out, moved on, and then one day her ex-partner met her, showered her with gasoline, and turned her on fire. And so like that, the other cases. So that case was so bad that the law changed, allowing people to get divorced and so on. So I was shocked by that news, so I asked my dear friend, singer, cantadora, if she could please use the lines from the newspaper to create the solo song. And so she did. And so this is how the piece starts. Originally it was a podcast, but it was somebody else's podcast. It was about health. And it was kind of funny because the theme is a little bit harsh. And then it goes into the theme of Carmen. And then we go into this Punchis music as we go and navigate through her different stages. First being very afraid when she hears the door slam, and then confronting, even if knowing that by confronting, she is going to the line of death. Because most people, when they suffer intimate partner domestic violence, if they go to the law, normally that backfires with the perpetrator getting furious and wanting to kill them, or venganza with somebody else. So I did that, and recorded the other music, and then the solo became a duet, and then became a trio. This middle part is a flamenco part with 5 dancers lighting in and out, each one of them, and then the last part's another solo. And then I filmed it and just submitted to the film festival on the 30th of May. We'll see what happens. But yeah, so the whole thing is to raise awareness of this. And a couple of things that were very important. When I first presented this, they say, well, Carmen, she deserved it because she was flirting. And I was like, wait a minute. Nobody deserves to be killed because of flirting. Because in the first place, Don Jose was already engaged to somebody else, and he started flirting with Carmen. Number 2, somebody else said, well, smart women don't go through those things. They know better. And statistics say that lawyers, psychologists, and all kinds of people do go through this because it happens like this, the analogy of the frog. It's in warm water and the frog is like, yay, it's so nice. And then when it gets so hot, the frog doesn't notice the change, but also his legs are cooked. The frog cannot get out of the water. And so we continue with that. And also just to raise awareness, especially with children through dance. It is curated to not trigger. I hope nobody got triggered. But yeah, it's just to create awareness and discussion. So that's it.
So we have, we need to replace some of the equipment. In the meantime, we have time for questions. If you have any questions for Gabriela or for the team, you're welcome now. So they are replacing, they are removing the Wi-Fi transmitter. It's that's taking the brain activity and sending that Wi-Fi to the receptors of that table, so that we can place down on the second group. Yes.
Question.
Yeah.
Amazing performance, first of all. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Gabriela.
Can you tell us about the backstreet? We're seeing brain activity, reference to reference. Can you tell us about it?
Right. So yeah. So we are recording from 28 sensors distributed on the head, and as I say before, the IMU is used to detect head motion, so that we can clean the signals. And the EOG channels around the eye, 4 of them, are tracking the eye movement, so we can remove eye blinks and shift in the potentials and humidity and temperature affects the EEG. So also we take care of that through this adaptive noise canceller, which we call H infinity, right? Now, so we are dividing the electric activity on the left versus the right, the amount of synchrony in the left and right, and that's driving the generative AI here that was explained before by Rodrigo, right? So I hope you could see how this was. Now, I want to make a point that this is for aesthetic purposes, right? So we're collecting data 1,000 hertz, and we go back to the lab and we analyze that again in detail, right? So the important part here is to have the visuals support the performance, and this is a close collaboration in the team, right? So, thanks. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, so, yeah, that's a great question, Luna.
Thank you. That's a great question. So, like we say in Spanish, mis respetos to the team. Yesterday we had 2 rehearsals. I'm coming from a production premiere in New York that I did on Tuesday. So I was depleted from energy, still getting back in my energy. So yesterday I tried to do a full force rehearsal first time, but the second time I couldn't. And so the feedback was completely different. Like the first time was all these red and purple and orange, and the second time it was like this. And it was, I was marking and I was going through the emotions, but I was just marking, and most of the colors were like that. And then we talked, and I was like, is there something wrong? I was like, well, I know I was also marking. So yeah, it does affect and reflect accordingly.
And this is, by the way, the dissertation topic from Anel Pacheco, who is on here on my right. Anel. So we're collecting data for her dissertation here. So we really appreciate Gabriela interpretation, and thank you so much. Any other questions before we proceed? Okay, so thank you. The second performance I'm also very excited about is a mariachi. I learned about them a few months ago, and this is a mariachi band by US students who are very interested in music, but beyond that, they want to use music to improve well-being. And so they have organized to go to clinics, homes, hospitals, to play for people with dementia. And I thought that was a really noble and really beautiful effort from the students that love music, and they have found a way to give back to the community. And so I'd like to welcome the Mariachi Sana Sana and the lead musician, Gail. So Gail is gonna tell us a little bit about the story behind the mariachi band. And some of the musicians are actually very new. They just started to play a few months ago, and some are more trained. Probably they are completing the setup of the systems. We brought 2 systems, so we had to share that.
I already have it.
Okay, you have one.
Yes, sir. Hi. My name is Stephanie Horton, and my partner in crime, Gail, she's getting her EEG cap fitted right now, so she'll join us in a second. But so let me tell you a little bit about what we are. We are Mariachi Sana Sana. And for those of you that don't know, Sana Sana is a nursery rhyme in Spanish. So the nursery rhyme goes, Sana Sana, colita de rana, si no sana soy, sanarás mañana. And it literally translates to healing, healing, butt of a frog. If it doesn't get better today, it'll get better tomorrow. But so it's a silly little nursery rhyme, but the literal translation, Sana Sana, healing, healing, is something that we hope to embody and something that we hope as a mariachi to bring to all of our audiences. All right. All right, dementia, memory loss, and sensory loss. So Alzheimer's and dementia affect about 55 million people worldwide. And actually, it is more prevalent in Latino communities. It disproportionately affects Latinos for every 1.5 like white Americans. Usually, for every one white American, here we go, 1.5 Latinos are affected. So it disproportionately affects the Latino community.
Yes, and why this is so important. So globally, there are about 55 million people that are suffering from Alzheimer's and dementia-related disorders. If we want to get more local, that's about 400,000 Texans, which amounts to $20 billion in cost for pharmaceuticals and treatments, which creates an urgent need for alternatives that are accessible, that are affordable, right? This is very much an urgent issue. And that's how we came up with this concept of Mariachi Sana Sana when we were looking into types of like music therapies, because this in itself is something that we take on apart from our academics. And it's a form to relieve stress from the amount of work we're put under. And why mariachi music? Do you want to continue?
Yeah, so what is mariachi music and why mariachi music? So mariachi music is traditional Mexican folk music. Usually in a mariachi, you'll see violins, trumpets, and then a rhythm section that consists of like a vihuela, guitar, or a really big guitarrón you'll see in a little bit. And why mariachi music? Well, it's a lot more interactive than most classical music that we see. And look, I love Bach, I love Vivaldi, but you're not gonna get up and start dancing to that kind of music, right? But with mariachi music, usually we see a lot more interactions with the patients that we visit in memory care facilities. So for example, everyone knows the song Cielito Lindo, you know, ay, 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 canta y no llores. And it gets emotional sometimes when we're performing for people, because you'll see these people that are affected by dementia and Alzheimer's, you know, not really responding, not really paying attention. They're not able to focus. But as soon as we play these songs that were from their childhood, that they've heard years and years ago, they start tapping their feet, they start clapping. We've had patients start singing after being unresponsive, and it's amazing what we're able to do and what we're able to bring to these patients that don't receive a lot of stimulus in these nursery homes.
Yes, in fact, the potpourri we have prepared for you guys today includes some of our top patient favorites from nursing homes we have visited around the Houston community. So songs that have sparked the most recognition, most joy. So like she mentioned, a lot of clapping to rhythm, singing along with the words. And this is very important because a lot of music therapy is based on the Western classical system. So it's not very culturally relevant to all populations. This is very important, especially for Hispanic and Latino populations, because even these types of therapies are very inaccessible because they are administered in facilities that are, let's say, more specialized. They're very expensive. And our mission is to bring the joy of mariachi music for free. So we're volunteering around to communities that may otherwise not experience the joy of a live mariachi band. And we're trying to bridge that gap in terms of cultural relevance and creating a therapy that is both accessible and affordable. And this is very important because it is projected for Hispanic and Latino populations for dementia to increase by the year 2060 an exponential amount. So we have to do something to bridge this current gap. And what a lot of you researchers in the audience may be familiar with is when you think you have come up with something new, something innovative, someone has already done it 10 years ago. And that's exactly what we came across, because mariachi terapia is already something that is very much alive in Mexico. And what we hope to do is bring this chapter here to the United States, starting here locally in Houston and hopefully progressing more towards the future.
When we started, Gail and I, we're pre-health students, and we've been playing mariachi all throughout college, so we were trying to figure out a way we can combine our love of music with our love of healthcare. We originally reached out to a group called Musicians on Call, a lovely group, but they usually send out maybe one musician to a hospital to play, and we asked them like, hey, can we get a mariachi in here? They said, y'all are way too loud, and you are way too many people. So we took it upon ourselves to create our own group. And I think we started off with maybe 5 or 6 people.
5 or 6
And
people,
we have about 15 volunteers that work with us today that switch in and out and help us bring the joy of mariachi music to people that need it.
Yes, so thank you so much. And we're going to present a potpourri of the patient favorites, and we hope you enjoy it.
Thank you. The mariachi. Un, dos, un. Bam, ba, bam, ba. Bam, ba, bam, ba. Bam, ba, bam, ba. Bam, ba. Para bailar la bamba, para bailar la bamba, para bailar la bamba. Se necesita una poca de gracia, y otra cosita, y arriba, 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 y arriba. Yo no soy marinero, yo no soy marinero, yo no soy marinero, por ti seré, por ti seré, por ti seré. Bam, ba, bam, ba. Bam, ba, bam, ba. Bam, ba, bam, ba. Bam, ba. Oh, shake it up, baby. Shake it up, baby. Twist and shout, twist and shout. Come on, come on, come on, baby. Come on, baby. Come on, work it on out. Work it on out. You know you look so good. You look so good. Yeah, you twist so fine. You twist so fine. Come on, a little closer now. Just a little closer. Let them know you're Let me know that you're mine. De la Sierra Morena, cielito lindo, vienen bajando un par de ojitos negros, cielito lindo, de contrabando. De la Sierra Morena, cielito lindo, vienen bajando un par de ojitos negros, cielito lindo, de contrabando. Everyone sing with me. Ay, 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 ay. Canta y no llores, porque cantando se alegra el cielito lindo, los corazones. Ay, 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 ay. Canta y no llores, porque cantando se alegra el cielito lindo, los corazones. Now, this next song is for everyone in the audience and here watching at home that does not speak Spanish. This one is for all of y'all. When the night is young and the land is dark and the moonlight is the only light we'll see, no, I won't be afraid. No, I won't be afraid. Just as long as you stand by me. And darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. Échale que
bailar, el mariachi loco quiere bailar. Quiere bailar el mariachi loco, quiere bailar el mariachi loco. Todos queremos que baile la pelusa, todos queremos que baile la pelusa, pelusa para aquí, pelusa para allá, pelusa para adelante, pelusa para atrás. Todos queremos que baile la pelusa, todos queremos que baile la pelusa, pelusa para aquí, pelusa para allá, pelusa para adelante, pelusa para atrás. El mariachi loco quiere bailar, el mariachi loco quiere bailar. Quiere bailar el mariachi loco, quiere bailar el mariachi loco. El mariachi loco quiere bailar, el mariachi loco quiere bailar. Quiere bailar el mariachi loco, quiere bailar el mariachi loco. Baila mejadito con la pura sabrosura, baila mejadito con la pura sabrosura, mejadito, mejadito. Baila mejadito con la pura sabrosura, baila mejadito con la pura sabrosura, mejadito, mejadito. ¡Que viva mariachi! Gracias. Thank you.
Yeah. Do we have any questions from there? Yes.
So, 1 hour is what we usually do per performance, which can be anywhere around 15 to 16 songs, right?
If we're hauling butt. Usually it's a little closer to 12 to 13, but 15 to 16 if we're doing like potpourris, like what we did right here. It's called a medley in English. So yeah, it depends. It depends on what kind of songs you want, and yeah.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. We do assisted living, memory care facilities, nursing homes, and any kind of area where we've been solicited for gigs.
Thank you.
Any other question?
This is really amazing, and I'm wondering if you collaborate with other states and Houston, but you collaborate with other states.
Yes, we would love that opportunity. Right now, we were very grateful to Dr. Contreras for inviting us to this event. We've been very excited for the last few months, but we are very open to collaborating in the future. So if you have anything in mind, please let us know.
Have you thought about putting headsets on people with dementia or Alzheimer's to see their brains sort of light up?
We have done that. A few months ago, we went to University of Chicago, Northwestern University of Medicine, and we did exactly that. Where they were listening to music, but also where they were singing together. And it's amazing. You see the difference right away. So we hope to report on the analysis soon. But yeah, we have done that, and we would like to do more. Yeah. I would like to ask Rodrigo a bit about the visuals. You can explain here.
Well, we have both with these sensors, and we have like 3 different techniques of generative art. Well, generative art techniques that you watch. You just watch the first one was like, well, both of them are like geometries, which has like a technique of to multiply one geometric figure that it calls instancing. So I do an instancing with a particular geometry. From there, each geometry has to respond with the synchronicity of each one of those of them, and so the textures you will see has like small pieces. No, if you watch them, so these small pieces they have rotation and a little bit of scale. Again, I try to sculpt the data, no? Because if I only show the raw data, I like it also, it looks really nice sometimes, but what I try to aim sometimes is to sculpt the data to have like a composition, no? And a desired composition. So in this opportunity, these small pieces has rotation and scale. So each time the synchronicity increase, the scale increase a little bit, not too much, because that's the sculpting that I'm doing. And also the rotation has a little bit like, the idea is not, is like, was like a wind or like something that looks like a little bit natural of this texture that is around the geometric. Well, that's one. And the third one, when you can see the musician, was with the depth, with a point cloud camera. Well, a point cloud view with this kind of sensor is really old, this kind of sensors. They can make they create a point cloud that is like small particles that can like, it's not the camera, it's well, it can gives you a point cloud, a 3D point cloud with not only X and Y axis, also with a Z axis. So we have like three dimensions with these kind of sensors. The really new ones, but whatever. So what with this one, the idea was to see well, the silhouette of the musician, but also we have a blob track that was, because when they were sharing with me that the brain reacts with a lot, like the eyes and the mouth has like a lot of reaction on the data. I apply this blob track. So these like squares that you were watching was like every time that there was like some movement on her face, these blob tracks were appearing on the visuals, no? So I think that's almost everything, yeah.
Thank you again. So thank you again for participating, and that was beautiful. Let's give a round of applause. And the third performance is also a dance. It's immersive VR dance experience for stress reduction by the UMBC team, and I welcome them. So this piece is with by Dr. Benjamuri, Dr. Glenn Smith, and Professor Clemensen with two UMBC dance students.
The emotional environment explored is fear. The emotional environment explored is curiosity. The emotional environment explored is happiness.
Good evening, everyone. I like to give the artist the microphone to speak first when the scientists are here. So good evening, my name is Anne-Sophie Clemenson. I am an associate professor here at UMBC in the Department of Dance, and I'm also the program director of our Linehan Artist Scholars Program, which houses musician, theater, visual arts, and dance. And I had the great pleasure of co-PI in this project. For today's demonstration, sort of pulls element for Raman's project, which is correlation between how movement coordination, increased movement coordination, have the ability to reduce stressors. And if we are building more greater coordination, we would hopefully see less stressor occur. That is my interpretation of this. Today was a demonstration. We have Shushu Ayub and we have Sarah McHale. They were dance students at UMBC. They have now graduated. And we have the rest of the team. So maybe the one thing I would say is that the latter part that you saw is improvised. So the dancers were making decision in the moment, creating a phrase, and that phrase became the sequences which they explored the affects, like the emotion is based on. So just to give context.
So I'll just say a couple little words about that last part was with the affective space. So we're looking at around the human-computer interaction, right? So telling the story of sort of the robot, the human meeting the robot, and that sort of fear initially leading to curiosity, and then eventually leading to, connection and happiness and interaction. And I'll let Ramona take it from there. But yeah, we were looking at that and how that can affect of course, the brain waves, as well as a lot of other physiological responses in the body.
So first of all, let's give a big round of applause to the two dancers. Splendid performance. We had probably less than 10 days to come up with this, and they've done amazing. Thank you, guys. You've done amazing. Sophie and Andrea and myself and the technicians here. Please, let's give a big round of applause for them too. So this is part of an interdisciplinary project where 3 different departments came together, which would never think we would have. It's from the motivation from Pepe. Thank you, Pepe. Thank you for that motivation. And this project was actually funded by our co-ed interdisciplinary partnerships project, and our associate dean is here. Thank you for funding this amazing work. And so what we're trying to show you here was what it's going to be when humans and robots are coming together to collaborate. So the way we started with was human exploring as well as robot exploring. And in the part 2, slowly we transition from fear, because humans are, if a humanoid robot is coming towards you, what's the first expression you would get, right? Fear. And then slowly it will transition to curiosity, might help, might not help, right? And towards the end is human-robot symbiosis, and that's what we're trying to show. And hopefully maybe next year when we perform this, we will get a humanoid robot here, and we will have a 3rd dance partner, okay? Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Thank you, Ramana, and our colleagues from dance. And so our last piece, but not least, very excited, our collaborator, Dr. Mei Rui, from the Music in Medicine program at MD Anderson on cancer. And we have a member of the audience. Guido, thank you for volunteering.
Good evening. While we're setting up, I thought I would give a quick introduction about what we will be seeing on the screen. And also, if you weren't here this afternoon, I'm Dr. Mei Rui. I'm a faculty member in the Department of Neurosurgery at MD Anderson Cancer Center, where I founded our pretty new, relatively new, now it's almost 2 years old, Music in Medicine Initiative in the fall of 2023. So this is a one-of-a-kind initiative in the #1 cancer center in the US. So we, as the principal investigator, I'm leading 3 multimodal clinical trials. We're assessing the impact of both music-based interventions and also in hospital concerts. So we're looking at the impact on cancer patients and also on providers and on caregivers as well. We're developing some animal model studies as well. So one of the larger trials is called it's acronymed the Music STAR trial, where we're using proteomics to assess classical music. So classical music that has very defined compositional elements that we have previously isolated and analyzed. So that go way beyond the basic parameters you may be familiar with, like tempo, tonality, timbre. A few other parameters we started looking at that's not very well discussed include, for example, articulation. So if a piece of music, for example, has a lot of staccatos, if you're a musician, you know exactly what that is. So I'm going to demonstrate very quickly. Let me go to the slide with the trial. I'm not sure what happened with this. Okay, so we're on patient number 12 right now. So going back to the composition elements, for example, on the parameter of articulation, we were looking at whether the perceived relaxation may be enhanced if you have more staccato or more legato or a mix. So just to describe what these parameters are, I'm going to show something where we might want to avoid for using, for example, in ICU patients or intraoperative cohorts. And this is the type of music that's very activating. So, say if you're having awake craniotomy, we would avoid choosing music that has a very strong rhythmic impulse. By the way, I love the mariachi presentation. But there are a lot of compositions in the classical music literature that, for example, that was from a Tarantella by Franz Liszt. It has this very pulsating, activating rhythm that may make you want to dance as well. So in general, we choose music, again, depending on the desired clinical outcome. If it's for stress, physiological stress reduction, we record all the pieces for the trials, for the studies, and we harness a lot from the classical romantic literature. For example, nocturnes by Frédéric Chopin, slow movements of Mozart piano sonatas, some Schubert. And then the reason we record is that a lot of the existing recordings, for a 9-minute long piece, it may have a couple of very eruptive climaxes that may only last 10, 15 seconds long, but that'll render these pieces unsuitable if the goal is to optimize relaxation. So I'll show you a couple of the examples of the pieces that are used for the trial. And please raise your hand if you wouldn't mind or you would like to listen to this if you were to have surgery, if you think this is relaxing, yes. And also we study, in the second phase of this trial, we study the impact on surgeons because acoustic stimuli, ambient noise, has been found to have a profound impact, not just on patient neurophysiologically, it's actually been shown to have side effects For example, if the surgeon likes very hard death metal or AC/DC, the patient's blood pressure and sometimes even the hemodynamic stability could be compromised. So on the educational front, we talk a lot to residents and fellows and even attendings about the safety of using music in the operating room. So in the next phase of our trial, we are also measuring using sensors and wearables changes in surgeons, and not just on the patient. Even when the patients are under general anesthesia, their vitals, their physiology could be impacted by acoustic stimuli. So I saw a hand. Is that a, no, that was okay. Good. Over here. Oh, no, okay, that's okay. Maybe I'm just, before I start my prepared piece, I'm just going to quickly go through what we are seeing the screen. And I want to thank Dr. Contreras-Vidal for a very fruitful collaboration in the last year or so. I also host a concert series, and we have had almost 40 performances. That's at MD Anderson. And we've had over 12 or so Grammy-winning artists ensembles that performed on site. We're working on a couple of publications right now that look at very specific, frequency-dependent and region-specific brain activation induced by different type of repertoire. And this is another trial where we're looking at in professional musicians and surgeons, two seemingly unrelated cohorts. But before I published a paper that actually looked at critical parallels between these two high-performing acute stress career, these two fields. There are a lot more in common than we have originally thought, like deliberate practice, mindfulness, bimanual dexterity. So if you're a surgeon, to have dexterity and have control in your non-dominant hand has a correlation with how successful you are as a surgeon, especially in microsurgery, and also use of beta blockers as well. So, sorry, just skipping. I think I'm using the wrong slide deck. So go back to our brain-computer interface mapping, which you're seeing on the screen. So this is a 19 electrode dry electrode set by Zetto. And usually we do at least two, so we're measuring interbrain synchrony. On the audience side, Dr. Contreras-Vidal's team will capture on the professional artist side. Today, we have a volunteer. Thank you. We're not going to be using your data because you didn't send a consent form. And also, this is not a data collection site on the IRB. But I just want to show you on top, we're actually seeing a visualization. This is not super scientifically rigorous, but it's a visualization that allows us to, in real time, to highlight the impact from the audience side of an immersive performance on our vital signs. So on the cardiovascular level, and below we're seeing the 19 electrodes from the frontal region, to sensory, to motor, to the occipital. So I want you to see if you may be able to explore potential visible differences where the music becomes more activating versus more emotionally evocative or lyrical sections. And today I specifically chose a piece. Actually, I just decided today at around 6 o'clock what I was going to play. And especially after talking to the amazing dancers, we have, instead of playing something that's a little more, I chose a piece that has a strong emotional polarity. So you'll hear a really large range of emotional fluctuations. It's a Liszt ballad number 2 in B minor. I call it song without words because even though it doesn't have a fixed narrative, a fixed plot, I want you to imagine yourself as a protagonist as you're listening to the music, because the music really transforms and evolves into lots of different sections that have very polarizing emotional content. And that's one of the misconceptions about the genre of classical music. And that's one of the challenges, especially in the music therapy field, where we're trying to harness music from classical music repertoire because of the heterogeneity and high degree of complexity. So without having musical experts, professional musicians and composers on the team, it's almost impossible to design reproducible, scalable, because music is so different. It's like comparing apples to oranges. If you let the patient select the music, there's always a high degree of selection bias, and it renders the study non-reproducible. So it's important to balance kind of preference with what are the actual physiological impact through these composition elements that are really genre independent and composer independent. So I hope you enjoyed. Thank you. Any thoughts or comments about, was that, those of you who don't typically listen to classical music, any impressions or thoughts about the piece I shared with you? Yes, I see your hand in the back. There's a mic.
Do you think Ludwig van Beethoven's classic songs like
Ludwig van Beethoven, say it again. Do I think Ludwig van Beethoven, I missed the second half of it. That's right, he did right. We use some of his music too, like for example, the Pathétique Sonata, but we take out this one, a lot of people. I mean, does everybody know the first movement of this piece will be absolutely unsuitable for using most clinical settings because it starts. So there's no algorithm currently available, even with AI. Spotify, you should test it. For classical music, it's unbearable. Maybe for reggae, which I was having discussion with, I believe, about Marley. For some types of jazz, that's a little bit more homogeneous and uniform throughout. So they usually take average samplings. There's no average for a classical music piece. And I do want to highlight a study that shows for if you have children or if any of you have had musical training in especially in your childhood, does anybody want to make a guess what your risks for developing any type of cognitive impairment, dementia, Alzheimer's later on in your life. There was a twin study of, I believe, over 257 participants. Does anybody know how much it's reduced? 64%. Now name me a drug that does 20% of that without side effects. Of course, that takes years of, it's 4 years or more, 3 to 4 years or more of training. And that's not in classical, not in professional musicians, in anybody with some type of classical instrumental training. So it's done, it was a study done in Europe. So, okay, any more questions? Yes. The elevator. Yes, elevator. So, right. So sometimes they're basically noise, right? Is there? And nature sounds could work well as well, but they don't entrain the brain to. We're trying to find music that your brain would tune into, not zone out to, but without activating the stress. So like the Chopin Nocturne or some movements in the Mozart, a lot of them, they have a perfect mix of novelty and familiarity. So even in the Liszt piece you heard, I hope some of you recognize the thematic return multiple times, right? So there's a sense of comfort when the theme comes back. It's done usually very subtly in classical music. Sometimes there's a slight modulation in the key. So you recognize the familiarity, but it does excite your brain in a very subtle degree because of the nuanced novelty. I'll show one very quick example in the Chopin Nocturne, a different one maybe this time. So this is the theme. So when the theme comes back, I think 3 or 4 times throughout the piece, every time there's a slight change in ornamentation. You have a trail of different length. I'll show you one of the returns. So your brain recognizes that sense of familiarity and it likes it. That's where a lot of the dementia or stroke recovery studies, they usually let the patient select the music because sense of recognition is important as well. But then the novelty, as we're seeing from our own data, the novelty is also very important. So without activating the stress response, it elicits much more the frontal, the higher cognition areas, and in terms of the frequency bands, is more in the hypothesis more in the gamma, the higher cognition, and the emotional music, so music that's familiar with a memory association, it's more in the temporal regions, and even your occipital region is very engaged, even when you listen with your eyes closed. And also the process of imagination. When we hear music without lyric, without words, our brain is in a more suitable state to imagine and to dream in a way, in a awake state, versus somebody telling you, I'm having a really bad day, and I'm gonna go out. So without the explicit lyrics, our brain is more in a freer state to be imaginative. So that's not just in musicians, that's in anyone without you don't need any prior musical background or any understanding of music theory to benefit. So going back to the Nocturne, I'll show the reiteration where we have a little bit of thematic variation. If you recognize some added arpeggios, some added scales, it's like different ornaments on the Christmas tree. So it adds a little bit of excitement, but without not something like the Liszt piece I played, where it gets your heart rate up. Anybody else about music or about the reason? Yes. I need to highlight my collaborator, by the way. This is someone you might have seen his work. This is Dr. Badi Collegian. He's now a professor at Bowdoin University. So I wanted something that's, I love the abstract design you did, but I wanted something that's more literal in this case, where you can actually see. So we selected only 10 out of the 19 electrodes that represent the critical regions. So, and we're working on another design right now to do multiple brains. So, yeah. That's our audience members, because mine has too much motion and we need to do the artifact removal before you get a lot of noise. So, and Dr. Contreras Vidal's team is capturing my data on the musician and we've collaborated in the same way for multiple data collections already, sometimes on 4 or 5 participants.
One more question.
One more question, yes.
So, how real time are the waves?
Oh, it's very, I think it's 2.5 million, I think less than, trying to remember. The delay, the lag is very, very, I forgot the exact number right now. It's very, very tiny, yeah, it's barely.
I thought it was really interesting that they were, there was a delay in the relaxation of the wave.
So the hypothesis. So what did you, I'm just curious, how did you interpret as, I was actually watching as I was playing as much as I could.
So I interpreted the larger waves as like more.
Oh, you're talking about the ECG, the cardiovascular, that's the ECG, that's not the brain waves. Yeah, that's the cardiovascular. On the brain waves, I noticed, so when the section transitions into something novel, there will be a pretty big spike, and then it will calm down like when it goes from lyrical to technical, going back to expressive. And you responded a lot to the lower register when I was playing some melodies, maybe like the cello or in that range. Anyway, thank you.
Well, thank you, Mei. I think that was a nice example of expressive movement, music, and brain health, right? So thank you, everybody, for attending today. This is a great beginning. Thank you for volunteering today. I'd also like to recognize Anel Pacheco, Eme Aguilar, Rodrigo Cid, and Joshua at the back. Thank you.